Another reason it's so hard is because the food industry is literally killing us. I'll share this article in the notes as well. But just look at this. It's just a visual, just to kind of talk about it. I'm not going to get down into the nitty gritty of it, but in the 70s is when all of a sudden there was this big fad about low fat this and low fat that. Well, when they take the fat out, they're replacing it with things to make the food taste good, and it's sugar. And sugar makes us fat. It causes inflammation. So we all know that. Now, there's ways to have sugar in your diet that's healthy, and we'll get into some ideas around that. But this is a picture in the 70s before the low-fat diet was introduced. And you just notice how everybody's just slim and trim. But look, think about what people look like today at the beach, right? Doesn't look like this. And then as I drag this down further into this picture, it is 6 years later. And as you start to notice, people are starting to have belly fat. I mean, it's still not it's way worse today. But 6 years later, you can see it starting to creep up on people. Even the little girls starting to get belly fat. So the low-fat diet it ends up making it worse. It gets people off of it more on carbs and sugar and less on the real foods, the meats and the vegetables and the fruit. And it just sets us up for failure. Not to mention, as I mentioned before, things like Hamburger Helper that has preservatives in it. Anything that has preservatives in it's going to cause some kind of an inflammation. If you can stay away from that as much as you can, obviously it's not possible for everything, but if you can stay away from it as much as you can, or be aware of, when I eat that, is it causing inflammation? This way you can, keep the weight off, eat the right kind of food, and not fall into this trap of eating the wrong things because, it says low fat. Well, low fat might not really mean what it means. You still need to flip the can over, the box over, and read those ingredients. And if you can't duplicate that recipe at home, you don't need to eat it. If you can't figure out what's in it, those chemicals and preservatives and all that stuff is just terrible. Also, the other thing that the food industry's done is that they changed the food pyramid. So they flipped it all around, and now it's got all this grains, and it just is real heavy in carbs. It really needs to be heavier in the fruits and the vegetables, equal amounts. And then the protein. We need to have enough protein and not have all these fillers that just cause the inflammation. So on top of that, on top of the food industry, there's all kinds of things also behind, the meats. In order for them to sell more meat, they're doing crazy stuff, feeding them the wrong thing, injecting them with stuff, vegetables being sprayed down with stuff. So we really need to be our own advocate and learn what's the better option. And it's very hard to figure it out. But that's what we need to do. That's our job, to figure out what's the right option for us that doesn't cause us inflammation.